I posted the freezer for free on Craigslist, so I just wrote to haul it away. It was old and it was scratched, and it took up too much space. A guy named Derek messaged me and he asked no questions, so he just gave me some time. After dark, he said. He arrived exactly 1 hour after sunset. His van was spotless, and it was white, and it had no plate. He stepped out without saying hello, and he just stared at the freezer like it had a heartbeat. I offered to help lift it, and he did not object. We dragged it halfway to his van before he cracked open the lid. That was when I remembered the bag. A black trash bag was shoved in the corner weeks ago, and it held leftovers from a barbecue my uncle hosted before he passed. He said it was pork, and it looked like pork, so I forgot about it. Derek reached in and tugged it halfway out. Then he stopped, and he stared. His voice dropped into something barely human, and he said, "This is not pork." I tried to laugh, and it sounded like choking, and I said, "That is what my uncle said it was." He did not smile, so he slammed the lid, and the air cracked, and I jumped back, and my fingers caught under the edge, and pain flared. Derek did not flinch, and he dragged the freezer the rest of the way, and he tied it down with thick ropes. Then he shut the doors without glancing back. Then he left, and he was silent, and his brake lights never came on. I stood in the driveway, and my fingers throbbed, and my skin turned cold. I never called the police because what would I even say? But I still see his face when I close my eyes, and I remember how long he stared into that freezer, like it stared back and like it recognized him. Sometimes I wonder not what was in the bag, but why he came for it, and what he plans to do next. I needed money fast, so I checked Craigslist and I found an ad that said 1 day job and $200 and help move a mattress. There was no name and no fluff, and it only had an address and a time. 6 o'clock. Bring gloves. The house looked dead, and the windows were fogged with grime, and the front steps cracked like dry bones. I almost turned around, but then the door opened. Travis looked pale and twitchy, and he seemed like someone pulled him out of a nightmare and dressed him in thrift store clothes. He said nothing, and he shoved gloves into my hands and pointed upstairs. Bedroom. No eye contact and no question. The mattress reeked, and it sagged like it had soaked in rainwater, and it was thick with dark stains I did not want to identify. I asked what happened here. He said nothing, and he kept staring at the wall like it whispered to him. We dragged it downstairs, and I saw scratch marks on the floorboards. And they were not from a pet, because they looked desperate and human. My stomach turned. Outside, he pointed to the curb and said to leave it there. No truck and no plan. "That is it?" I asked. He stuffed a wad of crumpled bills into my hand and whispered, "Do not come back." I didn't go back, but later I checked the address that night, and there was nothing. No house. The GPS dropped me near a wooded patch beside the highway. The cash was fake, and the backs of the bills were blank and worthless. Something about the way Travis watched that mattress, like it still had teeth, still makes my skin crawl. It started with a couch that was free on Craigslist. The ad said lightly used and modern and comfortable. I was broke and couchless, so it felt like a perfect match. The house looked normal enough, and it had beige siding and trimmed hedges and a flag waving half-heartedly in the breeze. A woman opened the door, and she looked plain and composed, like she had been preparing for this handoff her whole life. She said it was in the garage and took it. The couch looked perfect, and not a single scuff and no dent, and it almost glowed under the dim light, like it knew it was chosen. As I loaded it into my truck, she stood still and said, "You will hear things, and just do not answer them." I laughed automatically, and it was thin and nervous. That night, I tried to relax, and I watched TV and scrolled my phone, but the couch moved, just a subtle shift of cushions, like it adjusted itself. Then a whisper came, and it curled behind my ear and said, "Still here." I jumped, and my heart hit the ceiling, and I turned on every light, and nothing was there, just fabric and silence. At 3 in the morning, I found my phone inside the couch, and not beside it, and not under it, but deep between cushions I had not touched. By dawn, I hauled it out, and I dumped it at the landfill, and I did not look back. Later, when I returned home and pulled into my street, I swear I saw her again. The woman from the house was standing by the corner, and her lips curled into the faintest and most satisfied smile.